Hello and good evening, Catamounts. My name is Andrew Perez,
And I'm Ryan Mullis.
and welcome back to We Watch. We hope you guys are all enjoying your week. We know that it's almost spring break, so we hope you guys stay in there and you enjoy your spring break very soon. But in the meantime, Ryan, what is your favorite chocolate?
My favorite chocolate might be a little bit basic, but I'm just gonna go with the milk chocolate Hershey
Oh, yeah.
chocolate bars. Like them in kind of small doses, like the little package. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
sweet, it's simple. I like it.
Oh yeah,
kind of
the
just gravitate to
classic.
that.
Oh yeah, OG classic. I personally love the Crunch bars.
Oh, yeah.
They're so good. I'm a bit. It's just like the texture is just so good. I really like it. I know it's not OG chocolate, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And speaking of chocolate, me and Ryan went to go see Wonka last weekend at the UC. So Ryan, why don't you kick us off? Tell us, what did you like about Wonka?
I was pleasantly surprised by Wonka, to tell the truth. Like, I was pretty skeptical about how I was going to feel about this movie. Like, the vibes weren't really, like, doing it for me just through the promotional material. Kind of looked a little cringy, but once I let the world kind of soak me in, like the whimsical world that was being created with this, I learned to appreciate it a lot more. I mean, I love Timothy Chalamet. I think he's a great actor, and this was going to be a pretty tricky role for him to do because I don't think he gravitates to these kind of roles. But
Yeah.
in order for him to kind of grow and expand his repertoire as an actor, I think this was a pretty bold role to take on.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Try to tackle this character, and I think he pretty much succeeded pretty well. There wasn't a moment where I thought he was unconvincing. But he was also capable of carrying a tune because this is a musical, after all. We'll talk about that once we get to
Yeah.
the musical aspect of the movie. But one of the saving graces going in was that I knew the director was Paul King. Have you seen the Paddington movies
Oh
at
yeah,
all?
most definitely.
Yeah, those Paddington movies have a distinct style to them. In
Yeah, like
terms
very
of how,
wholesome.
very wholesome, very whimsical, and that same vibe is being brought to this Wonka adaptation, this Roald Dahl adaptation, and I think it was really well done. I went to go see this the first time at Christmas. I made this my Christmas movie with my family, and it's just a nice Christmas movie. Everything you wanted, just like good vibes all over the place. And, what did you think about the movie?
I'm gonna agree with Ryan. I also thought it was very pleasant. I was very pleasantly surprised. It was very whimsical. I grew up with the Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka, one of my favorite childhood movies of all time. I have very strong connections and nostalgia with that. So once I saw the trailer last year, I was a little unconvinced. I love Timothy Chalamet; he's a great actor, but I've only seen him in serious roles like Call Me by Your Name and Dune. So I was kind of like, because the Gene Wilder legacy is a big legacy to live up to. He's one of the best actors probably of all time. So when I went to go see this, I was genuinely surprised. I thought it was very magical, like you said, whimsical. It's a very wholesome movie. I liked it. It made me feel happy. Like it's a very happy movie. Great music. I liked it just all around. Very colorful movie as well. Lots of colors just everywhere. It puts you into a whole different world of just color and magic. Like you feel like a kid again, which I appreciate. It kind of is bringing back that 1940s and 50s style of musical, like Singing in the Rain and Hello Dolly. That kind of everyone just spontaneously like goes into dancing and sings. It's just like a happy world. You have hope. Nothing could go wrong.
A lot of elaborate sets as well.
Oh yeah, definitely big musical numbers, which I did like. I love those kind of movies. And I think they're trying to bring that back, and I really appreciate that. And once again, I didn't know Paul King was doing this. He did amazing with Paddington. I think he did amazing with this. He does really good movies that everyone can enjoy. Honestly, I guess you could call them family movies, but I think everyone can enjoy them. It does put you in a nice, happy atmosphere.
Well, bouncing off of like what we were saying, like, is there any other performances that you admired in this film outside of the lead? Because I think Timothy Chalamet, he may not be Gene Wilder tier.
No,
that's Willy Wonka incarnate. Like that.
No, yeah.
There's a whimsy in the
He still did really
the
good,
mystery. But how did you feel about all the other actors?
I thought all the other actors did good. Once again, Timothy Chalamet did. I think he did a really good job. Like you said, he's not going to be Gene Wilder, of course, but he still brought the whimsical and the magic. He can sing really good, so I thought he filled the shoes of Willy Wonka really well. All the other actors, I think, were pretty good. The girl who played Noodle did pretty all right. Everyone else is just kind of like, I guess, a little forgettable. I think a little bit, to me at least. I kind of forgot their names by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But they still did good performances. Hugh Grant as a Oompa Loompa was amazing. He was the comedy relief. He was really good. He took his role extremely seriously. So it's a very it's very comedic to see him taking it so seriously.
Yeah.
I think he did a good job. I enjoyed his performances a lot, but everyone else's performances, I thought they were good. Nothing to write home about. The good performances, they fit in the world okay. But what about you, Ryan? What did you think?
Actually, I'm going to diverge a bit on your point. I actually thought the ensemble cast in this movie was really well done. A lot of great veteran actors, British actors in this film, kind of bouncing off of each other, doing these interesting characters. Olivia Colman was a standout to me as like the really like evil person who kind of like locks Willy Wonka in like this binding contract where he's basically doing slave labor or something like that. But like she was like very like cartoonishly evil, and I appreciated that. I liked a lot of the competing what was it, chocolatiers.
Oh yeah, I did like
that was trying to
like
suppress Willy Wonka and to like building his chocolate empire, stuff like that. And what was it? Keegan-Michael Key gave a pretty good comedic performance as the cop in this who's getting bribed with chocolate. Rowan Atkinson as the
that's right. He did a great
as
performance
the priest character.
As the priest who's also bribed by chocolate. He's a good highlight.
Yeah, all these veteran actors are just bringing maybe not like the same energy or length of time as like Timothy Chalamet in this, but they're doing necessary work to kind of bring character to this movie, and I admired that quite a bit. Going off of Hugh Grant, though, like I think we can start talking about some flaws here, and it mostly just has to do with the promotional. Again, the promotional material is what I was skeptical, but after I watched the film, Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa, it was clear as day that they were setting that up to be like a surprise cameo or something like that, like the way that they interacted in the script. But I guess the marketers couldn't help themselves but say, Hugh Grant's playing an Oompa Loompa, I would have appreciated that was a surprise rather than like a marketing feature,
Because they didn't have like too much like detail about the marketing either, A lot of people were confused. It was a musical, and they didn't really know which Wonka version this was a prequel to. So I definitely could see that they could have done a surprise. I would have appreciated it, but I still think he did good. But going off of that, I totally forgot about Rowan Atkinson. I thought he did a good job. I love Mr. Bean. And Keegan-Michael Key was a good performance. And I did like the chocolate cartel or whatever. Like Slugworth did a good job. And the other two are all right, but I think Slugworth did give like a cartoonishly like evil, like that old school evil, which I appreciate.
Yeah. And so now that we're done kind of praising it, do you have any real critiques?
I guess I have a couple critiques. I guess some of the songs are fine. This is a musical. There's like 10 songs. Most of them are pretty good. I will give them that. They did a good job. But the first probably say 3 or 4 are just really just basic, boring. They don't really hurt my ears or anything. But just kind of like very forgettable. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
The Noodle song was kind of like a just very bland song. It's just kind of okay. Also, the CGI, some of the CGI was pretty bad, I'm not going to lie. Especially towards the end on the chocolate fountain. Like, I could tell it looked like a 360 game a little bit at sometimes, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But, overall, I thought the songs were really good. The chocolate song, like, there's chocolate, all that stuff was really good. One other critique, he says, take out your pocket. Pocket is not a real word. like I try to look it up in the dictionary. I'm like, what are they saying?
I mean, like I could probably attribute that to like the poetic whimsy of like a Roald Dahl. He makes up words all the time, so I'll defend that lightly. But as far as critiques go for me, like I'm with you with the musical numbers. They range from like kind of forgettable to pretty decent, like at least the original ones.
Oh yeah,
like,
most definitely.
The only one I really remember is Pure Imagination.
Yeah, but that was like the very end, though.
Yeah, that was at the very end. It's not even an original song, but I do like the Sweet Tooth one. The villain song's really good.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
But like most of them are like, I like musicals. I'm a big music guy. I recently watched a musical called what is it? The Phantom of the Paradise.
One of my personal favorite
movies. Oh yeah, it's a great, and I've been listening to that music nonstop from that film.
Most definitely.
And Wonka never really had the urge to go back and listen to it, like on the soundtrack or anything. But who knows? Maybe with future listens, like maybe they'll get stuck in my ear or something that. But another big critique that I have with this movie, what was I gonna say? I've lost my train, but like, do you have any other big critiques?
Yeah, I guess the directing, it's not something to really write home about. It's very bland. There's one shot in the middle where it's just like his face in a shadow, and I was like very taken aback. I was like, wow, that's actually a beautiful shot. And then the rest of the movie's just shot very basic, very just like the just their faces or shoulders, the scene. It's just like I wanted to be more creative. Think about the original Willy Wonka. There's some crazy shots in there, especially in the tunnel. Like I remember the tunnel scene exactly. There's so many interesting shots, like the elevator, the big like soap machine or whatever. Like it's really good. But this movie is just like the cinematography is just very basic, very bland, which I mean, it blends with the colors well. Don't get me wrong. I think the coloring and the cinematography to me are two different things. So I think like the backgrounds and sets are amazing, but he doesn't do a great job of capturing all of it,
Yeah.
It definitely puts you in a world, but it's not as much.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I just didn't know how to formulate it with words, but now that you mention it, like the filmmaking, as far as like the look of this film, I think it's like the least interesting of all the Wonka adaptations. Like Tim Burton's got his style, and you can say
it's very pretty to look at.
The clinical style of that film may not be cool, but it is a style that kind of striking and stands out to you. And obviously the original Willy Wonka, I just watched that one fairly recently as well, and like it's kind of made like a documentary because the guy who made it is a documentary filmmaker, and like everything is pretty much like look to be like very grounded and realistic until we get to the factory, which very like there's that strong juxtaposition that you're in like this new world or something.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
But like the filmmaking was still like it was passable, but like enough of the character from like the acting, the set designs, the wardrobe, and all that stuff really brought out the character in this film. Not necessarily like I do respect Paul King and what he does and the kind of films that he makes.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
They're not really gonna like stand out to me as like amazing, like striking cinematic.
Yeah,
film.
nothing to like write home about. It's just kind of this very bland, very there. But I still think the sets are really good. The choreography was amazing for the dance scenes. I think they did a good job with color. I really like the color contrast of the sets and characters. I think they did good, but I just wish it was shot better. I could tell there's a lot of CGI in this movie too, especially during when he first opens the store. I mean, they use like actual sets, but compared to like the first Willy Wonka movie where it looks so realistic, because it was. I mean, they actually built an entire like miniature factory of chocolate and stuff, but just compared to just CGI Wonderland, it's just kind of takes you out a little bit. It took me out of the movie a little bit because I was so used to seeing the realistic chocolate. Like I could just eat it right there, but it's just like the CGI is just kind of
Well, I mean, like, what is it? Before we really get to our final thoughts on this film, how do you think this film kind of stacks up to other Willy Wonka adaptations? Like, where would you rank?
I would probably
Wonka
rank
films?
it the second best, honestly. I mean, nobody beats Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder's the first. I like Johnny Depp's enough, but I also am not like the biggest fan of it. There's a couple critiques why, but it's just like I'd put Timothy Chalamet in the middle, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think it is a standalone movie. It's really good.
Yeah.
If it didn't have the Wonka name, I think it'd be really good. But compared to the others, it kind of brings it down a bit. But I still think it's a really good movie. And it still brings me a lot of joy. It's a very happy movie, very whimsical. So I'd put it right below Gene Wilder's.
I mean, I'm with you on that. Like, I think Willy Wonka works a lot better with the whimsy than it does like the darker aspects that was explored with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory back in 2005. I think that I would put it right in the middle as well. Like maybe Tim Burton has a more striking cinematic style, but it's not necessarily one that you want to see with like a Roald Dahl adaptation.
Yeah, it's not a very like happy movie, I guess. It's a much like darker.
This would be a bit more of an enjoyable time, and
yeah.
I'd have the same ranking as Willy Wonka, and then Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But I like the fact that like all these films kind of exist now. Like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of felt like it didn't have a reason to exist. But I guess now you can like view it in the lens of like, what if Willy Wonka was like completely dark and
most definitely,
clinical the entire way through, and this one's like, what if Wonka was whimsy and cool all the way through, and when Gene Wilder's version is now like that perfect balance of Wonka,
most definitely,
the dark and the whimsical.
It gives us combined. Multiple perspectives, which I like. I mean, Roald Dahl has a lot of books, lots of movies, so I do appreciate that we can see multiple perspectives of just one book. I think it's very interesting. And I also think it's very interesting that Willy Wonka is just such an interesting character that they can make so many movies off of this. And I think they do such a good job of just expanding his character every time. I mean, even if you don't like the Johnny Depp version, you can still admire like his backstory and see how he came to be, especially in this one too. Even if Like for some reason, there's probably like one person out there who doesn't like Gene Wilder, but they could see more of Gene Wilder's backstory and stuff like that, which I appreciate, or at least the character that he played's backstory.
Exactly. So,
but overall, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was good. I'm gonna give it like a solid 7.5 out of 10. It's a very enjoyable movie. You know, it's great for families. I guess that's also, it took a couple points away because it's also a kids movie, family movie. They have a couple fart jokes in there once in a while. It's just like, I mean, it's funny, but then it's just like, you know, come on. Clearly, you know, Paul King makes family movies. This is like, don't go into this expecting like Gene Wilder, dark elements, you know, Johnny Depp, dark elements, like PG-13. This is very much like a G movie. But overall, I thought it was good, enjoyable. I loved it. Great music still. And I loved like the dancing. It just makes you happy. What about you, Ryan?
I'm in the same ballpark. I feel like this is a 3.5 out of 10. I initially gave it like 4 stars when I left the theater back on Christmas, but now I've kind of settled on my opinion on this movie. It's like it's fun while it's on. It's a pretty entertaining time. A good way to like pass the time.
Most definitely.
You know, watch a new film with a character that you're familiar with from a new perspective, but. Outside of that, like, you know, it's not like necessarily like one of the best films of the year or anything, but still an enjoyable time. And I guess that wraps up our thoughts on Wonka.
So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope you go see Wonka though, and let us know your thoughts about the movie. And we will be back next week with a new episode. So thanks for watching, everybody, and keep watching movies.